All right, so this throwback is going to be a reminder to all the people out there that are trying to play Shadow Dancer. Okay, I've been in this game for a while now, been over a year. If you have been playing this game for less than a year, you might not know Jellael or his channel. Which in the game, his character was he had a mage character. Well, of course he had an oracle, Jellael, and he also had the account Sariel, which was a mage. So on his channel, he would give us a lot of information. He was one of the people that really, I would say, got me and Chosen like really interested in the game, really wanting to, try to get better and all that. Looking at his videos and the information that he provided, he was definitely a person that we enjoyed looking at his content. We were, every time he threw a video out, we were checking it. We were checking it out. We were seeing what he was talking about. So he does not play the game anymore. So rest in peace to Jellael or Sariel. Really enjoyed his content, interacting with him. He decided to put the mantle down. He put the wand down. But if you have not checked out his channel, definitely he has good information on there that's still relevant to this day. Even though some stats might have changed, the information still relevant. I'll put a link for this video in the description. This was one of his most viewed videos. It has 16K views, which is huge for how small the GOC community is. For this video to have 16K views, that should tell you something. So anyone that's out there that's looking to be a shadow dancer, you want to pay attention to this video. Crimson was providing the information. He really gave a very good description of the character, the breakdown, how you're supposed to play the class, skills, the whole nine. This is a long video. I'm gonna put the original, link for the video, in the description. If you have not seen it, if you've never been to Jellael's channel, great content. Even to this day, information is still good. Okay, I won't hold it up anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play here. Like I said, all you shadow dancers out there, pay attention. I played against a lot of good shadow dancers, and they all fell in line with what he's saying here. Aggravating as hell playing against a good shadow dancer. Got on my damn nerves. Got on my nerves. Pay attention. Here you go.
Good day, everyone. Today we have a special guest, the god of PvP in our DST server, Crimson. He is willing to share his PvP spec and his knowledge with us today. Please welcome Crimson. Yay! Welcome, Crimson.
Everybody, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Good. So I heard you don't mind sharing your PvP specs. It's not a huge secret or anything?
Nah, I don't keep anything secret. With Shadow Dancer, you've kind of got one build and that's about it. You can play with your stats a little, but your skills are pretty much set in stone.
Alright, so if it's that simple, show it to us. I'll stay quiet, take as much time you want, and fire away.
Well, I've still got that list of questions you gave me, so let's go through that from the start. So first up is a common question: Slayer versus Shadow Dancer. Now, Slayer, you get Blade of Destruction, or BOD, B-O-D for short. So to build up your combo and use your BOD repetitively is the issue. Shadow Dancer, you can kind of just keep using your clone as much as you can, which is your primary source of damage, and it builds your combo on top of it. So with that, we're going to go into my skill spec here. I still got one more point I need to redeem. Let's just do that quickly. Alright, so general stats you're going to want to go with. Your dash for your mobility with the +5 movement speed max upgrade. Your blade wielder, this is your CC, your control. You want to be able to dash in, stun, and run. So you want to max out the bonus so you get your 2-second stun duration. Same with invisibility. You want to max it so you get as much damage out of it as possible. Keep in mind that this skill does reduce healing, so for your battles against oracles and anyone with sweet fur, keep that in mind. You also want to max the buff on this because that 3 seconds of tricky, increasing your damage done is huge later. For your Shadow Dancer tree, everything gets maxed except for your HP and your all stats. I'll go into that in a bit. So first up, your crit rate plus. Crit rate is my bread and butter. That's what I go for 100%. My goal is to get 100% crit rate. After that, you want your invisibility too. The reason you max number 1 is this increases your dodge rate by 30%. So now you've got increased, where is it? Tricky. Movement speed increased by 50%. You do a cheap shot which damages them, roots them, and cuts their healing. Now while you're damaging them, you're also dodging them. Also makes it last 1 second longer when you max out that buff. Crit damage for bleed, that's kind of a no-brainer. You need the bleed for your crit damage, which is with your Shadow Clone. So max that as well because it'll reduce healing even more. Your Shadow Clone, this is your skill, this is your damage. You can use it once, then you have to wait 18 seconds, which is the cooldown, or when you have 4 combo points built up, you can cast an additional one. Keep that in mind, your combo points are very important, they matter for your combos. It also says using skill will not interrupt your invisibility, so you can go invisible, drop clone, and then run away. That'll come into the PvP section. Pets, standard pet build. You want to get your cooldown reduction and your damage increase maxed. Next, you can do pet HP if you're using something like the dragon or something that scales with HP. If you're not using dragon or anything scaling with HP, leave this at 5 and focus on your all stats. You want 10 on your pet CDs first, then your damage increase, then your all stats.
Now the change I would say with that would be to make sure that you increase your pet defense would be the change I would put in there, because now everyone's so strong that they can one-shot your pets. So my only change to that pet page would be to focus on your pet defense. Is what I did. I went to my pet defense first, and then I went back to the all stats. That would be my recommendation on that change there.
Clone, blade wielder, and dash. These are your 4 skills you're going to want to use. Use them in whatever order or arrange them in whatever order works for you. The way I PvP, I will clone in so I can find my enemy. Actually, you know what? This will be better if we actually go into a duel. So, Jelly, where are you at?
No, I'm not on right now. Maybe you can go into Arena?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll just go into Arena and show then, yep. So we'll go against this random person. So Arena's a bit different. You'll see how you can explode someone. So you're literally invisible, drop clone because you stay invisible, done so they can't do anything, dash, drop another clone, and they're dead. And then you can transform if you want. So it's invisibility, clone, while you're invisible, done, then you use your dash, and by that time you've got the bonus damage from trickery, you've got the bonus dodge from being invisible, and you're able to unleash hell on them. So that's generally how you want to do it, is invisible, clone, dash, or stun, and then another clone will be available. So the reason I'm running this skill combo is it allows me to just disappear. If you're fighting someone stronger, you've got to invisible, drop your clone, dash away, and get ready for your next invisible. It's got a 15-second cooldown, so you gotta buy yourself time. Try to fight on one edge of the arena, drop your shadow clone, and dash towards the other edge and run. Buy yourself some time. Use your pets for this point. So when I'm in between my cooldowns for using my damage or my clone or my invisibility, I'll switch to my pets. This is where you've got your dragon. If you're not using dragon, I recommend the armored bear. as that is a good shield. Angel as my primary damage dealer. If you're not using an Angel, then you're probably good with a Pyro. If you're on a Rogue, you might want to look at your crit damage or your crit percentage and use the Fox if you're under, say, 70%. I also use Flame Wielder instead of Dragon or Snow Bunny because I prefer the invulnerability. It's nice to be able to move.
Okay, I just want to pause it there just to interject on the change in pets, because this is what over a year ago. So now we have the fairy pets. Most people are using dragon or samurai. You got the Feeny and your choice of devil, or kind of which way you want to go there. But at this point in the game, most people on the strong with the strong accounts are using all the fairy pets. So on the pet recommendation is really your choice on your pet recommendation. So you can kind of ignore that part.
Mobile while being invulnerable, and I can kind of set up. Pets are kind of pets. There's not really too much to go into on that. Just keep leveling them up, doing the best you can. There's a shit ton you need. Sorry, I should ask if there's language allowed, but there's a ton of different things you can do with your pets. I opted out of the elemental fox, which is, where's my fox? There it is. So a lot of early rogues, you're going to want to use this. It gives you damn good crit rate and attack percentage. Gives you 10 seconds, so you can also stack this. You use this, then you use, say, your armored bear. Oh, I'm getting dragged into a team. 1 second here. Yeah, okay. I get dragged around a lot, so where was I here? So that was...
You were explaining about elemental pet?
Right. So pets, and the pets you should be using. So early levels, you're going to want to use the elemental fox because it increases your crit damage. That'll probably be replacing the angel in your secondary slot, I would say. So if I had no angel, no dragon, and I was using the basic pets between SSR and UR, my call would probably be Flame Wielder, Armored Bear, maybe Gale, maybe Gem. Depends on if you want to go more damage heavy or more tank heavy. Nope.
They're not giving up on you.
It's Beast, so I'll just go into Beast and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as my stats, so my crit rate is currently sitting at a 72%, which is why I don't need the Fox. So that is my base crit. And you got to remember with Rogue class, you get increased crit. So I get a 5% crit rate here, but on a Slayer, you actually get more critical rate and more critical damage, which balances with the Blade of Destruction or BOD. So for me, I'm wanting crit rate, crit damage, and crit debuff. So that's where your runes come in. Dismantle some of those useless ones. Alright, so for my main rune skills, I'm running Assault, Dragon Slay, Ocean, and Swiftness. I like the increased attack speed and movement speed so I can chase, run, hunt, whatever I need to do. If you need to go heavy, you can attack, and it gives you that nice attack speed, and you can chase people around. Ocean is just good for damage reduction. Can't say no. Dragon Slay, ignoring P defense. This is huge on a rogue. Your damage is all physical, so you'll want it to go through their defense. Assault, just increase all damage done. Some rogues go for the Rampage route. I'm not a big fan of Rampage. Increasing your crit rate to 100% for 3 seconds, but it's only a 5% chance to trigger. Not that much. So I didn't see it triggering enough to make it valuable for me. So those are the 4 I'm going for. What you want to do is get 2 fancy runes at most for each one. So I have my Dragon Slay. I made sure Dennis has Dragon Slay. That's the skill I'm wanting. So what do? I look at another Dragon Slay. And where's my other Dragon Slayer? Dragon Slay on my Dracula. The other thing you can do when you're looking at a rune, open it up. take a look at the first 2 special skills you can get. This guy specializes in attack and strength, which is pure damage for us, so you want that. Alice, she does physical penetration, so you're going to pen right through their defenses. With the assault, that's good. Dracula, she gives you a hit rate and damage bonus. So that damage bonus is what's good. I might be changing this one. I'm not set on Dracula just yet. I did find Snow Princess, which I kind of want to switch to, because this does the debuff damage boost. Don't care about intelligent.
Okay, and now another change to that is now you have the white dragon. So you don't, that was just something back in the early game where white dragon wasn't there. But now you got white dragon for debuff damage. So, just throwing that in there.
This debuff damage boost is your bleed damage. So the higher this is, the more bleed damage you're going to do DOT. Of course, I have the 2 fancy runes. Most people aren't going to have these. King Arthur and Valkyrie. I like those ones. Try to get, when you're refining these, as many of these skills as possible. So I've got 1, 2, and 3, so that gives me a level 3 Valkyrie's Descents.
Okay, so another change with now today's game, everybody should be running the Shinobi. Everybody, the Valkyrie, of course, that was back early game. Everybody, if you have a legendary rune, that first rune needs to be Shinobi. It's just that good until it's not. Okay, that is the number 1 rune that everyone in the game, if you have a legendary rune period on your account, it needs to be Shinobi. That needs to be the first one. That is the damage rune of all right now until something comes along to knock it off the tower. It is on top. So after that, it's kind of your choice. I see a lot of people using Forest Queen still. I see some people going with Gilgamesh. So it's kind of your call after. But your number 1 legendary rune is Shinobi, hands down.
This skill can hit multiple levels. It can be level 1, level 2, level 3. I happen to get lucky and get a few good ones. Damage boost and +2. For your defensive runes, I've got Sirius, because he gives you that crit rate again, all important crit rate. I've got Elf Prince, because he gives you physique and dodge rate. Dodge scales with your ability, which is a primary ability for your rogue. We've also got Red Lotus, mainly for the damage reduction and true damage reduction. I like not taking damage. That's good. And wait, what was that one? That was Sirius. And then I have Stormlord. Stormlord for the all stats and the damage reflect, mainly just because he has Ocean. That's the only reason I put him on there. I'll replace that when I can. For your Supreme slots, throw anything in. Absolutely any red star, whatever your highest runes are. The only skills that matter are these purple ones. So these 3 green are ignored. These 3 purple are added to your skills. Ignore sets. They do not transition from Supreme Plate to your regular sets. So this is on an assault. It does not give me an extra assault level. If I have 4 assault in here on these attacks, it will give me a level 4 assault. So Supreme page, just highest runes you got, get them all to level 15 and start getting their bonuses up. So like this guy's got an 11,000 bonus he adds to me, mainly because he's got HP, physique, dodge, and his usual dodge rate skills. So this guy gives me a lot of dodge. Whoops, I gotta follow the team.
Now something else to add about the runes. Okay, he mentioned the you don't get the perks in the Supreme. That is only from the the regular fancy or red runes. When it comes to your legendary runes, you do get the additional perk for your legendary runes in your supreme slot. So even when you get to the if you're on that well status, if you have 3 legendary perks, that when you have you want to go that route and put a third legendary rune in your supreme, the skills from that rune do count to your one in the third slot. So that's just just throwing that out there, that the skills of the legendary runes, they do apply in the supreme page there.
To auto. Okay, so that's runes. What should we look at next?
Wow, that's an amazing presentation. You smoothly transition to one topic to another. You're good at this.
I've streamed before.
Oh, I see. That's why. No wonder. No wonder. Smooth explanation. I think you covered most of my question, but going back to your skills, you mentioned that some of your skill reduce healing. I didn't know that.
Correct. So with Rogue, the big thing you want to do is your Blade Dance and your invisibility. So when I go invisible, I increase my movement speed and I can use Cheap Shot to attack you. That's where I teleport on top of you or teleport behind you, and I deal a bunch of damage.
Does that mean Oracle is easiest prey for you?
Actually, Oracle is fairly difficult, but it's because you have to time your skills right. If you don't invisibly jump on them or cause the bleed at the right time, they'll out-heal your damage.
Okay, so with that, so for you oracles out there, for the people, let me correct that. For the shadow dancers, rogues, when you are fighting oracles, it's very important that you use your bleed skill when they are trying to heal. Okay, that's how you mitigate how you mitigate the healing. You jump on them, whatever. I'm not sure. It's up to you to come up with whatever combo you got to kind of keep that bleed on them. But you want to do some damage. I don't know if you want to hit it with your pets first, do some damage. When you see that healing going off, you need to have that bleed on them. That's how, as a rogue, you counter the oracles. You stop the healing. Their job is to recover your damage. You, as a rogue, you don't want that to happen. Make sure you get that bleed. It's get that bleed on an oracle at the right time is like a fine art. You know what I'm saying? If you are able to mitigate that healing, you have significantly increased your chances of beating a stronger oracle. There you go.
Okay, then who is the easiest prey for you, and who is the hardest prey for you?
Archer. Archer is the hardest because you can't root them and you can't stun them at some point, so you have to be able to chase. That's why I use double mobilities. I use invisibility and the dash, so I have the ability to run away, hide, and wait out their cooldowns so that I can jump on them. Going back to that, the HP thing. So Cheap Shot, there's your HP for 50% for 8 seconds. So as soon as I jump on an oracle, their healing is cut in half. So if you can use it while they're using their aura song, that's one of the best times, as it'll basically negate that entire song of healing. The other part is this guy. So your Reaper's Blade is each critical damage done to an enemy inflicts bleed on them, dealing damage to whatever in total over time. Now, your Shadow Clone is what applies the bleed. Where it deals to enemies nearby and slows them. I thought this dealt bleed. Okay, so it's basically you're relying on the critical damage from your Shadow Clone to deal crits, which will then cause bleeds, which then additionally reduce your healing by 30%. So if you jump on an Oracle and cast...
Okay, so just to reiterate what he just said there. So if you are playing Rogue, if you do not have a high crit build, if you are not, at this point of the game, people have a lot of crit resistance at this point in the game. So in order to be an effective rogue at this stage of the game, you need stupidly high crit rate. You have to be able to crit to apply that bleed. So if you have an account to where you are not able to obtain very high numbers of crit. I mean, if you fight, it depends on what level of the game that you're in. If you're, earlier in the game, like if you're from I would say you're going down to like a divine 1 to a 3, something to that effect. I mean, it still depends on who are the enemies you're fighting. How strong are the enemies you're fighting? If you're fighting God Kings, dumb amount of crit resistance. Okay, your crit rate needs to be stupidly high. I mean, when I tell you stupidly high, I'm talking like 160. If you can't get like at least 160 worth of crit damage, if you're fighting, like really strong enemies like deity 5s and 4s and 5s and God Kings, if you can't get your crit rate that high, this is not going to work out too well for you, because you will not be able to you won't be able to crit to get that bleed damage. So you're missing a big chunk of your class without getting that bleed onto the enemy. So if you're fighting someone and you're not seeing that, because you see the animation, you normally see the bleed animation when when you have inflicted that crit on them. If you're not critting on people, this is not the class you want to be playing. Trying to have a high crit build, I mean, it's ideal. Most people, you want to be an offensive class. You want to, have high crit. But if you can't get it that high to really be effective against stronger enemies, this is not the class you want to be playing. So I'm just going to put that out there.
You're a clone and get a bleed off. That's 30 plus 50. So you're getting 80% healing reduction on your enemy. They will die instantly.
I noticed that when we go in team battle together, you are the first one to go out and the first one to engage the opponents, and you always go after the healer first. Is that the best strategy for the rogue to contribute to the team fight?
For the rogue, in my opinion, you are the assassin. You need to get to the back line, to the squishy targets. You do not want to fight the tank. You do not want to get kited by a mage or by somebody else. So you need to disappear, run through the front line, and jump on the Oracle. So it depends on if you're doing a, say, 3v3 kind of PvP or the 5v5 Guild War. In the Guild War, it's much different than the 3v3 scenario. In the 3v3 scenario, it's like you say, you want to dive past the front line, get to the back line. Your primary targets in order are Oracle, Mage, Archer, Assassin, or Rogue, and then Sortie. Although there is some play depending on the level of your opponent. If you have a Thera or Oracle and, say, a Saint, Sortie, and a Savior Mage, you want to kill the Oracle and the Mage. You always go for the Oracle first, because even a low-level Oracle can heal whoever else you're fighting.
Good advice. So far.
All right, so I just want to also put a plug in here. I'm trying to throw some gems in here as well. I see a lot of people, group battles and all. They run right up to the first person and just get the smacking. Okay, I see it all the time. I know a seasoned rogue when I see one. Okay, I know this. I see people just run up in there, just get the smacking and get the swinging away. That information that he's providing right there is something that is missed in this day and age of people that try to play rogue. You really have to understand what your role is as that rogue. Like he said, you want to get to the squishy targets. So you don't want to run up there and start fighting a hammer bro. You don't want to run up there and start fighting, a freaking sortie. You know what I'm saying? You do have to be very smart, and the very good rogues are very smart and methodical. They know when to hit and run. They know when to get in there, put the damage in, put the clone in, get out of there. You know what I'm saying? That's the smart rogues. They run in there, stir things up, get out. So I'm just putting that out there. I see a lot of rogues not understanding their role.
You have mentioned how amazing Shadow Dancer is. what about the Slayer? Going back to the very initial question, the most amount of time I have seen you being Slayer is like 3 days. You always go back to Shadow. Is Slayer hopeless?
I have hope for it for Slayer. That was actually what my first class was. I went Slayer. I wanted to main it, but that was before they made the changes to clone, where they made it so you can use it twice. Before.
Okay, so I'm actually going to stop the video there. I'll put the link in the description for the full video, because he doesn't really give much information on Slayer, because he plays Shadow Dancer. So this video is more targeted towards the Shadow Dancers. So he's provided a lot of good information already. So I'm going to stop it there. The link will be in the description if you want to go to Jellael's channel and watch the full video. But this video had 16K views, one of the highest GOC videos view wise I've seen on YouTube, period. So this is definitely great information. So that's it. I'll stop it there. Hopefully some gems have been dropped to some shadow dancers out there, or potential shadow dancers. All right, and thank you for watching.